Hello, I'm Chrissy.
And I'm Caroline, and we're interior designers. More and more people are asking us about what we do and how we do it.
Which brings us to our new design adventure, the Design Duet. Join us as we discuss the ins and outs and the ups and downs of interior design. Jenny Jones is an award-winning rug maker, celebrated for her exceptional craftsmanship and artistic vision. Each of her rugs is a masterpiece, entirely handmade from start to finish, with every piece passing through as many as 180 skilled hands. This meticulous process ensures that every rug is not just unique, but also a true work of art that will last for generations. At the heart of every design is Jenny's extraordinary talent for blending colour, pattern and texture, creating pieces that are as stunning as they are timeless. Her rugs aren't just floor coverings. They are heirlooms in the making, infused with passion and artistry from the very first stitch.
Jenny has been a trailblazer businesswoman in a male-dominated industry for nearly 30 years, bringing her unmatched expertise and passion to every piece she creates. Her decades of experience have shaped her into a true master of her craft, where her deep knowledge of tradition meets a relentless drive for innovation. Each rug is a testament to her and all the work that she's done over the years, her dedication, skill, and her eye for quality. With nearly 3 decades of artistry behind her, Jenny continues to set the standard for what handmade bespoke rugs can be. And this clearly comes out in this interview today. So welcome, Jenny. Thank you so much for coming this morning.
Oh, thanks, Caroline. Thanks, Chrissy.
Lovely to meet
Very
you.
excited. Oh, thank you. You too.
Great. Well, why don't we get started? Jenny, tell us a little bit about your story and yourself.
I think that's what's really important that in my background is growing up as a dyslexic, which wasn't a word then. And basically I was constantly each year being taken to doctors for hearing or eyesight because people could see the things on the board and say the words. I just didn't know what they're all jumbled and everything else. So my world became a very visual world, watching people because I had to fit in at all times. So you became very aware of expressions and people and awareness and colour and stories. So you started creating your own to fit. You just wanted to fit into that classroom. And I got to be quite an expert at it and a great copycat.
Oh.
In fact, the nuns put me next to my best friend who came first each year. And I was left and she was right and they didn't mind because they didn't know what to do with me. So I just copied her work. And at the end of the year, they gave me the best writing. Because everyone had to get something. Yeah, so that was, and I had very, very loving parents who just said to me, and I think the most important for anyone that has a learning disability is to say, it's just a different way of learning and we believe in you and you're very clever and this is not your season at that time. And my father always said, you're going to be great when you're older. It's just not just enjoy and fit. So that was a very profound thing in my life.
It's wonderful your parents were so positive.
Positive. Not knowing what it was, but just said, you know what it is, it's not important, you are important, more important. So I actually loved school.
Yeah, great.
I had a great time. I had lovely friends and just got through the system.
Yeah, fantastic.
Right.
Yeah. Anything with no words.
I
love numbers, so maths and physics and chem. That was really up my alley because it's all formulas.
Right.
So that was great. And then I had a car accident when I was in my last year, which I thought I'll never, because I wouldn't get English, wouldn't go to uni. I wouldn't be able to write essays. And from that car accident, it was head injury. I was seriously, nearly died. They had to retrain me in walking and talking.
Right.
And in that, they didn't realise, which they do with dyslexics now, it's like shell shock. Right. I actually opened a world. You don't get rid of dyslexic, but all of a sudden they put it in order. I was learning how to read. And I read my first book at 18.
Oh, wow.
I never stopped since then. I just love reading. I mean, knowledge, when you haven't able to click into it and you don't have the things that we have today, you're very isolated in the world that you'd love to be part of.
Yes.
And so you'd be envious of anyone who open a book and read. Right. So all of a sudden that became my passion, still is. I mean, I must do studies. I study every day. I read. I constantly want to improve. So, yeah, it was a blessing.
So you were talking about formulas. Has that helped you with the rugs?
I think art is got that formula without question.
Yeah.
Some of the best designs for me have been where there's been a great formula. Like you go, oh, whatever colour drops into it, and I do it like light, dark, medium over there, the balance. I'm all into balance in a design. I don't really, because when people would talk to me, I visually see their house, and it mightn't be anything like their house, but they give me some print or some words, and all of a sudden I've got the wallpaper, I've got the colour, so that is all, my stories are all very visual. Yes. And not in words still. They're still very visual. So when I see something, because it's so cute, the visual in me, and that's like if someone's blind, they hear better. And for me, visually, I would look at it and see, I'd immediately see a part that just doesn't fit the puzzle. And I found my chemistry and physics and formulas that art is part of maths. There's some of the best.
Interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, how did you actually then get into the industry?
So we were in Zimbabwe in 1983 with Australian Aid, and we had our first child there for the first 12 months, and we promised each other, my husband and I said, we'll come back because it was just so amazing, the wildlife and just a different experience. No matter what we were or where we were in 10 years, we would return to Zimbabwe. And 10 years later, Ricky was turning 9 and we had 3 children by then. Luke, you've met. He was our third, and he was 5, I think, at the time. And we looked at each other, and to everyone's horror, because it was financially, there was a boom and, mining and everything else. And Den decided to take this job as an MBA lecturer at the university. And I think it was like on $12,000 a year or something like. It was a very change of life, but we worked out we wanted to be part of the community, not expats.
Yes.
We were going to be there and participate, and they would know that we are the same as them. So we lived on the university campus, put our car on stilts at home, rented out, and thought this is to teach the kids. This was their education, that to see another world, and that money wasn't the essence. It was experience and people and relationships and everything like that. And we felt that was a wonderful education. And the last spot, that was in 92. Then 95, we ended up there's a few countries in between. And we ended up, I think we were 15 months in Africa. But the last spot was Turkey.
Wow.
Amazing.
And I had a baby in Africa, so number 4 came along, Mitch. And so I think he was about 2. So we arrived in Turkey and the kids straight into schools, and then my husband was setting up a university for Armidale, New South Wales. That's where I used to, wherever we went, I'd check what was the main thing, because in a deli you'd see a rug behind the counter. And you think, gee, I think it's rugs. I think that's theirs, Italian food and wine and Turkey rugs. So I used to go off to the old city, Mitch and I, the toddler, and learn about rugs. And I just fell in love because these women from the village were rugs telling their story. A lot of them were illiterate or couldn't tell, and they'd give the message to their father and mother, or they're ready for marriage, or their blessings on the child. And for me, it was like, wow, this is me. I never thought me designing and doing the same thing, but just thinking, I just love this story.
Yes.
And it was cut short due to political reasons with the Australian government and that. So we ended up suddenly at the end of 95 coming home, and I said to my husband first, 4 kids now, going home, no job, nothing planned. I said, I think I could do rugs. I think I could sell rugs. And so half a container later.
Oh, wow.
I know. My husband and I go, I think I could do this. And I'm not thinking. And Dean goes, I think you can.
All right. So tell us, Jenny, a little bit about your business then.
Yeah.
So I found I did exhibitions for a number of years and worked from home because always my children were number one. I wanted to only work as long as I could be there for them. And I think as a working mother, working out your priorities is so important. It takes the stress out.
Definitely.
So for me, my priority was I will work to help my children in education. So we opened a shop Wednesday to Saturday when Mitch went to school, his first year of school.
Is this in Sydney?
In Perth.
In Perth?
So we're in Perth.
Right.
So we're from Perth, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
And so that began the journey. And then after a couple of years, I said, it's not going with the trends, all this beautiful stoneware, oysters and silvers and blues and that, and there was just the red and traditionally rugs, and they were very intense in that. And I said, I can't do it anymore. I can't suggest this to people's home and that. And once again, my husband said, well, why don't you design your own? Why don't you do that? Of course. Why not?
Why
Anyone can do this.
Exactly.
He's been such a positive influence on you, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he kind of pushed you a
definitely
bit.
pushed.
Yeah.
He definitely goes, yes, you can do it. And I don't, for someone from my past, and it's sort of like and I go into things. Or you give me a challenge, I'll work it out. And I think he is a big supporter, and definitely that's the partnership. I wouldn't have done most of it. I would have gone, oh yeah, but no, you can sit back. But he's gone. Well, when we finished with that half a container, I did a 10-day big exhibition in Fremantle, dances and Turkish food and that, and we sold quite a lot of it.
Right.
And I thought, great, don't have to do it anymore. Den's got a job lecturing at Murdoch University, and so he realised I was really tired, 4 kids, putting them back in school, and so he said, pack them in what's left, and in 6 months we revisit. So we did an exhibition, and next minute put an ad in, and within an hour they're all gone. People were waiting.
Oh, amazing.
He had me on a plane on Tuesday.
Of course he did.
That says, and I'm crying all the way. It's about 27 hours, and I'm crying, going, my 4 children, I have no mobile, I can't ring them. So yeah, that was the beginning. And then I became the Istanbul. I was a different personality. I had my hat as a mother, and then all of a sudden I was a businesswoman, and So that was the beginning.
And it was just you working alone, or did you have people
just me.
Working for you?
Me. It was a steady. So what was good, we had Dan had his job with the university, and then I didn't want to have any more stress than I needed because once again it goes back to the children.
Of course.
And they needed the adjustment. They'd been travelling and everything else. So I fitted it in the school time, 9 to 3. And so within that would always, and then I did step by step that allowed me to do it without taking. Then when Den gave up his job, that was the most terrifying because then it became
to work with you?
Yes, because it got busier and busier. And then he said, look, I'll stay with you for a year. You get on your feet with it, and you pick the kids up after school, and then you can do because that's what I was saying to him. I'm not staying I was really lucky because he said, yes, we'll fix that, and I'll do Saturdays. And we're still together in the business 30 years.
Incredible.
Amazing.
So lovely.
Yeah.
And how many people work in the business now?
In Perth, I have there's four of us, and then you have our casuals for deliveries and that. And in Perth, here in Melbourne, there's Luke and Stefan and Luke that's just started.
Right.
Another Luke.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you have the other people for deliveries and that. Yeah.
Yeah. What a story.
Amazing. And tell us, Jenny, how do you work alongside with people like us, designers and architects and stylists, decorators?
Well, I think because each interior and architect have their own style and everything. And I think what helped me in Perth to survive, when I started doing customs, and most of the people knew each other, the market that I was at and in Claremont and everything. So I learned, and having everything in your life is used. I've always realised that nothing's wasted. And so from my dyslexic, having to listen and observe what people aren't saying and are saying and how they suddenly looked at something, I think, so with that, that's what became, I've done over 1,900 bespoke designs for people.
Wow.
And I've had all success, but that I put down to listening, not doing what I want.
Yes.
Not designing and saying, well, no, you're a blue person, not a yellow, or no, you don't want flowers, you want stripes. It was like I'd go to their house, I'd look at tea towels, I'd look at, because they didn't know.
Yes.
And so when interiors, they know the business, I'd only come in when they need me or show them if, because you know what your client is. It's one removed.
Absolutely.
When I'm doing it, I'm right with the client, so I respect that. But when you have your clients, I don't know your whole story, and that's your professional, and that's what they've got you because you've got a relationship with them. I'm just aiding the interior or the architect in whatever way I can and what's out there.
Yeah.
Yes, incredible.
Fantastic.
So you've got your own collections.
Yes.
How do you keep inspired?
It's more of how do I control because, I keep wanting to constantly designing because it's like me constantly writing my diary. Other people write me, I will think, oh my gosh, what a great concept, or what a great colour, or I'd love to do that. And as Dan said, you can't keep doing that, Jenny. We have plenty of them, like you think. And so, now I design and we just put the designs up.
Right.
Because it was stifling me. I thought, no, I better not do that because, it's going to cost so much and, you're stock level. But I'm a great believer. I've always done since the kids were little, get up an hour before them and have a quiet time. I'm a great believer of emptying yourself as a person and reflecting on yesterday and improving yourself and then starting again today. So I think when you unload, you go into work with a very clear and empty vessel in a sense. So when I go to work, I can focus on the people when they're coming because I'm not thinking, oh, God, have I got this done, or did I put this away, or it's all clarified. So I actually come in, as my kids say, you are really empty. Whoa. But I live in the day, very conscious of the day.
Yeah.
I don't look, someone said, give me your 5-year plan. I remember having to do a talk in the city in Perth amongst business lawyers, and I said, I don't have one. I've got a great supporter. I would give my 150% to everyone that comes into that shop that day, and that looks after the next day. I have an overall plan, but I don't. Like when I became won the international award at the World Rug Fair, I didn't ever thought, oh, I want to be the best in that.
Yeah.
They asked me to because I had such a scope of design from classics to organic to florals. That they asked me to put a collection together and they put it forward.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Incredible.
So I had no dream. I had no intention, like that. And that's how my life, if you look after now and respect now and the time and the quality now, I think it looks after you.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that award, Jenny?
Oh, my gosh, it was so amazing. So I did this. It was exhausting and I did this collection and it was the first time in Domatex they do, this is the rug fair of the world, and there's a hall which is, so it's all flooring.
Yes.
Yeah. There's one hall which is art, which they recognise as new designs and everything else. And so when they asked me, I thought, which was fantastic because I was always designing for people, not doing my designs.
Right.
So all of a sudden someone's asked me, do your collection, and that was my first real collection. And being in Perth, I just do my own colours. I don't go, I'll do what suits. So this specific one was Ruby Room, and I had actually it was the first time bamboo silk. I developed this bamboo, which is totally different now because I don't use it. It's not the quality and the viscose and all the other stuff that's in it. But back then, I wanted something available to everyone that looked silky, but it still had elegance. Anyway, it was Ruby Room was what for me as a little kid. I wanted those beads. You hang them down on the door.
Yeah, gorgeous.
I just loved them. And as a dyslexic, I'd watch all the old movies because I couldn't read, and all these movies. I'd see that, and then they were poor, and they'd have these silk negligees, and I want that negligee and those beads.
Yep.
So in rugs, I can do the things I couldn't do then. So I designed this, blew up this bit of crochet, and then dropped beads going down it. And I did it in turquoise and greens, which they hadn't back then.
Stunning.
They didn't do colours. And everyone went wild. It was just in the judges' game. It was just
how
thing, but it
fabulous.
was just something in my head and a story. And I think that was the new thing for them too, seeing contemporary people having stories like the traditional, and that's having that background. So it was fabulous. And Luke and my 2 sons were there and Dennis, so that made it even more special because I wasn't expecting anything. So I was very
incredible
lucky.
Acknowledgement of your incredible designs and style. And what's been your favourite collection?
Well, it's always added on. I suppose I love the wildflowers because I love Australia and
they're beautiful.
I think that I'm not a floral person, even though I've done floral, but the Australian flowers are architecturally stunning. They're not this pretty. They're just so beautiful to work with.
They're sort of harsh and architectural.
Architecturally. I just, every time I look at it and see them in places, I just feel like, I suppose that's the Australian in me. I'm really proud.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And Jenny, what goes into making a rug that passes through 180 sets of hands?
Yes.
So we can only imagine the stories that each of those hands could tell along the way.
Absolutely. because when I design, I design where every colour goes in every knot.
Yeah, right.
So it takes me to do a CAD. Once you've got it, you can drop colours and everything else. But there's a lot of time into it, so that it's not digital print like a lot of rugs come in. You can see the dots and squares where you just drop anything and drop it in, whereas mine is art.
Yes.
And then I paint, and then it might take me, like I'll just go along and each line going from one colour to the other. So once that's done, I send it off to our producer, where they then send it back to make sure they've got every knot the same as what, because I know everyone by then.
Wow.
And then when approved, they then print it off onto maps for the women. And then they've got another team that work out scientifically how much, because they can lose profit. Like, okay, aqua needs 7%. So they work out that's 5 kilos of dyeing. So you've got all that side. So you've got a team of scientists dyeing and working out. And then you've got the other team that actually dyeing the silks and wools and everything else. And then you've got the people doing the map and printing it out in contrast colours. We are big believers of keeping the weavers in their homes, not in the cities, and educating them and empowering the women. And so from that, the bag of wool and everything else plus the map go to that village, and amongst the women they weave. Usually it's 4 or 5 women together, and they can continue their life, getting up, feeding kids at school, whatever.
Incredible.
And then they go back. It's sort of a community
lovely
thing.
So they get a map.
They get a long map,
Right.
a bit like a tapestry, and every dot will be a colour.
Yes.
And they are amazing. So they've got it above, there's the loom, they're just sitting above their head. They've got the wool underneath, and they don't even look, they pull up, and they know yellow is a black colour. So, because it's very bright, and, they've got, because a lot of rugs are tonal, which is too hard. So they go, okay, this one, so there's that 912 is in there, and they go and a single knot every cloop, and they do a single knot and then cut, single knot and then cut, and it's just amazing. I mean, I had to go, and it took me so long that I thought huge respect.
How long does it take them to make one rug?
Depending on the size, like say the quality of knotting and that we do in the village, it would be about 2.5 by 3 metres. Average, they're about 5-6 months. But then what happens, you've got all the other process before, so that's the hands.
Yes.
And then when it comes back, they see the back of it, but it's quite high, and then it comes to the finishing house. And from there, they then shave it to a certain level. And then I give a team of men who are experts with scissors another map, and they do the high and low for me.
Okay.
And that's usually another month. And then there's the washing and drying. So it's Government House, New South Wales, we put 2 rugs in. Her Excellency commissioned me to do 2, the Banksia and the Bottle Brush.
Right.
And I saw Her Excellency in April, and they told me they give guides around the rugs, the tourists and everything else. Besides functions, they had 102,000 people in the last 2 years, and it looks as new as it did at the beginning. They just said they can't believe it, and it's just been – so you put all this work into it, and how I saw, the question, how long do they last? When you use natural fibres, and silk's stronger than wool, it's just more expensive.
Yes.
But when you do hand knotting, not tufting, which is just a machine that loops the around the thing, and then you have to put a glue backing.
Yes.
So it's a whole different process. It's like, let's do a print and let's copy the art piece. So that's where they're worlds apart.
Okay.
And lifespan, I mean, there's 100, I mean, if you put it into your life, if you had a rug in your house and 102 times in 2 years, I mean, that speaks for itself.
Sure does.
Certainly does. Where are the rugs made?
In India and in Nepal.
Right. And do you travel there regularly?
I used to a lot. They have my POMs labelled, so it's just PR more now because everything's set up. So that's where it was great, terrible, but good over COVID because it didn't stop anything. And the girls in the village, COVID wasn't bad. We provided stuff and everything else, but they were really safe, which was fantastic. And so our production, actually, the thing that held us up was shipping containers and air freight.
So would that be the most challenging part of making a rug? the shipping and
Well,
getting...
not now.
Now
it's just
much
expensive.
better.
It's just a lot more expensive.
So true.
I mean, it's about 3 or 4 times more expensive, which is really hard. But yeah, that's changed. They use the excuse of COVID, and if it's not something else. But yeah,
it's not going to go back to how it was, is it?
I know, that's it, because now they've controlled it sort of to a level. You just think, come on. I mean, we got one excuse about the war, and I said, you're in India. You're like, I'm sorry. It's really, got to stop there.
Yeah, of course. So what qualities do you think are necessary for a rug to become a cherished family heirloom?
Well, I think the material is really important. Hand-spun wool, I don't know if people understand, when it's machine-spun, you can have the same thread, but what they do is they stretch it. So that strength, say if it's a foot long or, 20 centimetres long, it's natural and it's got the lanolin in it and it's got the strength, the tightness.
Yes.
But they want to get more out of it. So on the machine thing, you can stretch that 20 to 60. So you've lost 2/3 of the strength. So hand spun in wool, and silk is the toughest fibre, only by silkworms. There is no other silk. I've heard botanical silk, I've heard banana silk, I've heard bamboo silk. Silk is silk.
Yeah.
That is the only strong. The rest are man-made in some way. So a natural fibre and cleaning and everything, just they go on and on and on, which is proof from the government house just how tough they are. So I highly recommend that.
Yeah,
and being
fantastic.
hand knotted, obviously.
Yes,
because that's where and you have a problem. Well, I had one dog that I don't know how, but they chewed in the middle of the rug. And so, yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite, I don't know how they got
to really think about that.
Yeah, me too. And they brought it and I thought, oh my gosh, there's a little hole. And, because it's all hand knotted, doesn't ruin it. You just fix that little section.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Jenny, how do you stay inspired and continue to evolve?
I love what I do, which is because anything creative, if you're like yourselves, when you're creative, you should do creative things. I am thankful and feel very blessed how I didn't have a plan, but it's just enriched my life, and I've been able to have 2 as mother. Well, I was, my mother, and then being the mother to my children, but then having this other personality, a scary personality that goes out and travels, and Indiana Jones, but I'd go off to Pakistan just after. I mean, it was just this wonderful. In 10 days, I'd do a pack adventure. Meet and be like it was all man's business back then. So I was the only female, so I had to be really tough and show them what I
that you meant business.
Business, and then once they knew, they never saw me as the female, more that as a business person. Yeah, totally. And that was it. But nature and just being. We have a bush book. I'm there every week, and I just get blown away with colours and birds and. I mean, we're just so lucky. In Australia, we're just so lucky.
We're so lucky.
So lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've done lots of travel, so I'm sure that
just proved
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you believe, Jenny, makes a rug more than just a functional piece in a room?
Do you know what I get excited about, like working with interiors and architects and our clients? They do all the, no offence, but, you got the sofa and you got the curtains and you got everything, and you feel like there's no foundation, there's something missing. Like I go to homes, and when I've seen, and I get so much joy out of it, and we slip that rug in, all of a sudden it looks like from the floor up, it's worked. It's the accessory that connects everything. You can have block colours, but when you put a rug with a variation of, picking up the wall colour, picking up the sofa, cushions and everything, it's not to stand out. It just makes that whole room connected and complete. And that gives me, when I see that and take photos, I thought, and I've been to weddings and baptism, like all this from other people, so grateful, and I love that.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Over the years, business across all industries have faced unprecedented challenges, from the global impact of COVID, which we were just talking about, to economic downturns. How have you managed to survive?
Been in Perth.
You lucky thing.
I know. We sort of, had those 2 years, we were isolated.
Yeah.
And we had the best 2 years. Because what happened, all the people that would travel all of a sudden stuck at home. But, our life didn't change. We didn't wear masks. COVID, there's we heard someone in some suburbs got COVID. Like it was 2 weeks here, maybe over those 2 years, and everyone's business. I mean, holiday resorts, caravan parks. It was just amazing. It was extremely hard in Melbourne. I don't know how the people here did it, and I think it was so. And having 2 sons here, we were conscious every day how tough it was. But and then the government in 21 arranged, and that's when I made these 9x7 and 6x4 rugs. And just that was so wonderful and supportive to my art form and things like that, and a few other big commissions just were fantastic.
So the commissions kept you afloat?
Well, Perth did, but from afar, that was just a big security because you know when you're doing something making like that, that took 14 months to finish.
Well, after the process you've told us,
exactly.
Believe it. Yeah.
Exactly. So you sort of thought that, and when you've got customers, you've got down the track 6 months. So no matter what happens, you've got a deposit, final deposit.
Yes.
So that's great with customs rugs.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Hearing about the way you actually design your rugs.
Yes.
From the drawing and then the following process, you must have a lot of drawings. Do you make them into pieces of art, like to put on a wall?
Look, that's a good question. I have only done it once because my son was setting up a new office and he needed decoration, and all my kids are right into decorating. My son's been in the business; they all grew up in it, and so I did a from Canvas Factory.
Yeah,
just quickly in a budget and put up a whole wall of my Atlantic designs.
Right.
And set it up, which he was thrilled with, and that was. But I haven't done any more. I keep thinking I should do for the other kids.
But it sounds like you must have an incredible amount of drawings.
Totally, because I've been going for this long, designing about 25 years, and doing initially for clients over 1,900 bespoke. So I've got those as CADs and in my library. As I said before, going from classics to organic to art deco to floral because I was doing what those people wanted. Then in my own collection, so where I've got another 1,000 at least.
And how many in your mind?
And, oh my gosh, I don't even look at them now. I've got to go, that's why I was saying I've got to control my, Dan says, just put them up. Just put the designs up from now on, Jenny. We can't afford to make them. But it's wonderful because within a day, and I know they're my babies, and when they take 9 months, every single knot.
Yes.
So when someone comes in like the other week and they wanted a more 1960s wildflower art deco, like this whole, I thought, oh yeah. And then I know the one, and I never made it up, and it was 10 years ago. I went straight to it, and then I looked at it, and they said, why didn't you do this before? And I said, I didn't think it was ready or it was right. But now I feel, and then I did another layer and put the colours in. So within 3 hours, I was able to send her a design that was totally unique. And so I'm able to do quite fast, unique designs, not because because I've got all this library in Photoshop and layers. So I can take the top of one rug, put it over another one, and then do 3 layers of that and then create a totally unique a new design, and that I love. It evolves.
Yes.
Some are good by accident.
Yes.
A lot.
And what about at your house, Jenny? What have you got at home?
Yes. Well, it's funny because someone says, do you change all the time? And I thought, no, I actually don't because I'm in there all day.
Yes.
So I'm around it. I have the didgeridoo, which I call for me because my mum's from a station, and my Edaji, which was the name of the station, which is dots and lines and rusts and spices. And then I love colour.
Yes.
And our house is full of sculptures and things from Africa, the places we lived in Turkey and that.
Beautiful.
So it's not a cream and oyster linen house. It's very much, and we've been there 45 years or 40 years. So it's very much a house of memories. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But, and then we have a bush block, which I go from Friday to Monday morning, which I love, which inspires me. And I've got the office set up there, and that is my bottle brush. And my family, we just built, because we used to live in the shed on the weekends until a couple of years it was built.
Where is this place?
It's called Hovia. It's just Mundaring, which is just on the outskirt of Perth, about 45 minutes from our house.
Okay.
So it's really fabulous. I can be there. I put my music on, I get there, and then I sit and it's all bush. You can't see us. And we did the house in Colorbon in Momentum Black inside and out.
Right.
And everyone was mortified. But then on the floor, I did a big bottle brush with a same charcoal background. So you walk in, because I don't want to take away from the bush, you walk in and you just see these flowers on the floor and then you go out.
Divine.
It's divine. But furniture, very little. The kids get, aren't you going to furnish? And I said, I rather like the simplicity. No more housework.
Exactly. Oh, how beautiful.
Yeah, it is fabulous. And that's where that rug, I can sit for a couple of years and take my time to fill it, because the rug just anchors it and it picks up all the walls and the black disappears. All of a sudden the masterpiece is out the window with the bush and the kangaroos we have and all that sort of stuff.
That's your artwork.
That's exactly.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, it's really love it.
Do you think you'll just keep going on for ever?
Luke, Luke and I joke around, and all my kids have been in the business at some time and love the business. I would like to develop. Luke's got a great eye, and I believe he. Everyone says, well, to continue, and I think I'd like to train him up. And we were talking about that today because he's grown up with it.
Of course,
since he was 5. Like he's been a little boy, and it's just innate with him. I'd love to do here, but I've got a new season. There's lots of things I want to do. I'm nearly 70, so I've got a decade, a very purpose-filled decade that I'm about to enter, and designing will be in it. But also, there's lots of other things with people I'd like to do.
Sounds exciting.
It is. I'm really excited. Very lucky.
And I've got the last question probably for you, Jenny. What is the best thing that you have learned in business over the last 30 years? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I really believe relationships number one.
Yep.
And, when my staff come in, I said our mission statement, people first.
Yep.
The rug second, because word of mouth is you can't beat. And trust and those people to feel they're valued more than the product. And that has been always my philosophy. And I think it's, repeat business is probably our biggest thing, and that they know they are the most important thing to us in the business. And then whatever, we don't we send letters, are you okay? Is everything happy? Because it's, life is about people.
Yeah, definitely.
And the joy is I make a design, but meeting people, hearing their stories, having long-term relationships. And some of my best friends are from doing rugs.
Really?
Yeah. We've travelled, we've seen the world together. And so, it really is about that trust, listening and connection.
Oh, beautiful.
It's wonderful.
What a story.
Learned so much today. Not only are you a beautiful mother and family woman, you're an incredible businesswoman and
being kind.
out there for the women.
Out there for the women,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You can, and that's what I was saying to this group of women. It's all about discipline and deciding each day what's your priority.
Yes.
Don't just go in the day because you lose it. It's precious.
Yes.
Decide and say, okay, my kids are, this is what's important and this is what I'm going to, and be conscious in that day and make it happen. You can. That's the only thing you can control.
Yeah.
The rest of life fights back, but you can control those decisions.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I've loved learning the story.
Caroline.
So did I. It's just been an absolute joy.
Oh, thank you.
You're a true artisan.
Oh, thank you.
And you can see, the way you speak and the way you dress and your beautiful
my
personality.
Rug.
It's
beautiful.
It's definitely reflective of you and your beautiful work that you do.
Oh, I really appreciate that.
Thanks,
it's really
Jenny.
kind.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to get in touch, email us on thedesignduet@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram page, The Design Duet.